Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and I am back with another episode of the Horizons Author Lounge. And I'm super excited because we are finally kicking off Men's Health Month. And in observation of Men's Health Month, I will be interviewing all male authors throughout this entire month of June. So just very quickly, this is our promo for the month of June. Today, we're going to be talking with authors Erick Williams and Jamal Byas. And then next week, we're going to have a special show. The show will not be taking place on Monday the 10th. It's actually going to take place on June 9th, which is a Sunday. And we're going to be talking with the co-authors of the new anthology, Unspoken, which is all about men's mental health. So I'm really looking forward to that panel discussion. On June 17th, we'll be talking with author Shakir Rassan and then my friend Victor McLaughlin. And then on June 24th, we will be rounding out the Men's Health Month series with Jonathan Harris and Trent Walters. So this is going to be a great, great, great month. And I need you here every step of the way because we are going to be really, really hitting a lot of issues that affect men. And then at the same time, I want you to be able to get to know some new authors if you're not familiar with them yet. And if you are familiar with them, maybe you can get reacquainted with some of these authors. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on my first guest, Mr. Erick Williams. And he is the author of his latest novel, which is called The Wendigo's Prey. Did I say that correct?
Yes, ma'am. You said it correct.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm very honored to be here with you.
Well, I got to tell you, I love your tenacity because you had contacted me about being on the show. And for some reason, I don't know, we were losing touch or something was happening, but you did not give up. And I want to thank you for that. I'm really happy to have you here tonight. And I think our paths have crossed a few times, but I want to, this next half hour, just really get to know you. So if we can get started with you just telling everybody, who is author Erick Williams?
Yes, well, my name is Erick Williams. I am the author of actually 5 books. My newest book is called The Wendigo's Prey. I'm right now, I am presently living in Texas. I'm not a Texas native, but me and my wife met in the military and she's from Texas. So we got married and moved back to our home state. Been living here for a little over 20 years now. And just, I'm not a Texas bred, but it's home now. So I'm making the best of it. I do like it here. The weather can be extreme. Right now we're dealing with extreme rain. It seems like it rains every day for the last month.
Yeah, I used to live in Texas myself. My mother is in the Air Force, and we were stationed at Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, Texas. And that extreme heat is no joke. I mean, it's right. And when it's hot, it's hot. When it's cold, it's cold. And when it rains, it really rains.
Yeah,
their weather.
Yeah, like right now, we've been experiencing rain for pretty much every day for the last month or so. It may just only rain, for an hour or so, but like the last month has been raining, not every day, every other day, last hour, sometimes last 5 hours. We've been having flash floods, some storms, and you just never know. This time last year, we was in the middle of a drought. And so now you just never know with the weather here in Texas. But I've gotten used to it, so you adapt and overcome.
Well, the good part about rain is that it gives you more time to be inside and get some writing done. So that seems to have worked out well for you.
True that. Actually, I'm working on a book as we speak, but I'll get into that a little bit later on.
Okay. Well, tell us first about your latest book, The Wendigo's Prey.
My latest book is okay if I show the cover for it.
course.
Oh yeah, my latest book is called The Wendigo's Prey. I'm not sure
That
if
is
you
a
how much.
scary cover. It's beautiful, but that's a scary looking cover.
But see, the cover is the cover is, I don't want to call it misleading, but the cover is just, it's not a scary book. First of all, I didn't want to write a scary book. I wanted to write an intense thriller.
Mm.
It's more of a thriller book about this creature chasing four people on a weekend excursion in the woods. One of the it was two couples going for a weekend trip to the woods. One of the party members gets separated from the party, and this creature ends up chasing that person. And then
Mm.
another party member ends up chasing after the creature chasing that person. So I like it. Like I said, I just call it intense thriller. It's just about it's about how humans respond in intense moments. One
Oh,
person, yeah, I mean, it's a study in that. I call it studying human nature about how you gonna respond, in a tense moment. Are you gonna step up to the plate, or are you gonna run behind, run for cover?
okay. Well, that's shoot. So tell us a bit about the characters in the story. So it sounds like it's almost a fight or flight type story.
It is. That's one of the that was one of the rationales in my mind about fight or flight. Like I said, the character story it's two cousins. Their name are Crystal, and I forgot the other cousin's name here. Real quickly, Crystal and Terry. They're, two
Okay.
female cousins that grew up together. They went to they went to school together. But after high school, Terry went off to college while Crystal joined the military. But
Mm.
after Crystal got back out of the military after 10 years, they get together. They both have boyfriends, slash fiancés, and they decide to take a weekend trip to the woods. And while they're on a weekend trip, like I stated, one of the party members gets separated from the group. And this creature is actual, real. I'm not gonna say it's a real mythical creature in Native American culture. Anybody who
Okay.
studies Native American culture knows that Wendigos do exist in that culture. They have a long, long history.
Okay. Now, what exactly is a Wendigo? Tell me a bit about that.
The Wendigo is a creature that used to be a human being once upon a time, but they stated that back during the early 1800s, when when America was being discovered, that when they was traveling westward, out west, sometimes they got bleak and desperate, far as just being hungry, whatever. And a Wendigo is a person that actually ended up eating another person for survival initially, but
Oh,
then
that's
yeah, I mean, it was just situation calls for it's like it calls for it, and some people actually ended up eating other people to survive. But the thing about the creature here is that a person got turned into a Wendigo by enjoying it too much. By I
ooh,
mean, they craved it after a while, and they purposely was eating humans. And this creature,
wow.
like I said, is supposedly 10 feet tall. They live in the cold parts of America, and in Canada, like in the Minnesota, Wisconsin parts of the country, and kind of like in Canada, they live in cold, real cold territory. They're supposedly, real tall and skinny, and they're always hungry. They're always hungry, no matter how much they eat. They're always hungry, and they can hibernate for like months at a time if they can't feed.
Well,
You
now
know,
you said you weren't creating a scary story. That sounds pretty scary, Eric.
but see, like I said, the creature is just another character in the story itself. I don't want to give away too much, but like I said, it's more like I said, for it's more about the creature's a character, and the four characters themselves. The character that gets separated from the group, his name is Keyshawn. It
Mm.
is it is Crystal's fiance, and Crystal, is not gonna let her fiance, hang out to dry, so to speak. So she's chasing
Right.
after the Wendigo. And Keyshawn is dealing with his own, own situations as he's, trying to escape the Wendigo. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but like I said,
I don't want you to give too much away, but I will say it sounds like a very suspenseful novel. Would you consider yourself a suspense author?
not really. In all honesty, I just wanted to. I didn't want to be pigeonholed into one type of story. I mean, when we met. I know you was down in Houston last year for the
Yeah.
National Black Book Festival, and that's where our paths crossed there.
Hmm.
When we met, I had three. I actually had four books out, and I guess, had three books out there. I call it the Sky Family Trilogy, where it tells a story about, I guess, about a teenage love triangle and how it affected their relationship, how teenage love triangle. And it kind of goes into how his family got involved. But the point being that I didn't want to be pigeonholed to a type of story, so I just wanted to kind of expand my horizon, so to speak. So I took a shot in trying to tell an intense thriller. And I will say, of all the books I've wrote so far, this book right here, The Wendigo's Prey, is the most intense book I've wrote as far as just action and suspense, and like I said, just a thriller. You wonder what's going to happen next.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does sound intense. So, do you think that you're going to write something different every time you write? It's because you say you don't want to be pigeonholed. So
No.
I'm thinking that if this is your intense thriller, the next book will probably be what? Romance?
No. The next book I'm working on right now, I'm still early in the process, or real early in the process, but I want to tell a story of an autistic kid overcoming the autism to excel, in society. Like I said, I'm still early in the process though, but I wanted to I'm almost kind of going back to my roots with this, I guess you say family drama, urban fiction family drama is what I was writing initially.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I just had experience, and I actually was working with autistic children in the school environment, in classroom environment. And I think there's stories to be told. I mean, it was, and so I want to write a story about an autistic teen overcoming his autism, and excelling. I want to be an inspirational story. I mean, I haven't done an inspirational story yet, so I was just trying out, trying that shot.
Do you feel like it's been tough because all of your books are a little bit different? So does it mean that you kind of have to find a new audience for each book, or have your readers kind of come to know that they're going to get a little something different?
Well, I will admit I have discovered, in my I do a lot of I don't do a lot. I do different shows and just what events and whatnot. And I have noticed that the people that go for the family drama with this, I call the Sky trilogy, have no interest in the Wendigo's Prey. But the same people that go for the Wendigo's Prey have no interest in the family drama that's in the Sky trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but my thing is, I wanted to kind of have a broad spectrum of books that I mean, if you don't like this book, maybe you'll be willing to try this book. I mean, my thing was I didn't want to be pigeonholed. And I like to try to just tell new and different stories.
Right. So how do you find your ideas?
Well, the Sky Family trilogy like I said, it deals with a teenage, and I actually worked in juvenile corrections for over 20 years. Now, the story that's told, in the Sky Family trilogy is not a real story whatsoever. But in my 20 years experience, I just seen a lot, and heard a lot, and experienced a lot, and I knew it was a story there, so that kind of inspired my telling the story with the Sky Family trilogy. And now the Wendigo's Prey, me and my wife actually was on vacation in Washington State last year, and we was about to hike a mountain, Mount Rainier in Washington State. It's the National Park Mountain. And before we actually got on the path, there was a bear that prevented us from getting on the path. And even though it wasn't a big deal, we didn't have no kind of real experience with the bear, but that kind of just got my head work.
I don't care how big the bear is; it was a bear.
Right? But I'm just saying, I mean, we're okay, nothing, traumatic. But that got my head spinning, ideas,
yes.
clinking that maybe what would be a good? It would be like a good chase. And I just wanted to do a thriller, and I wanted to use a mythical creature. I just kind of had to find a creature that fit. I didn't want to use Bigfoot or the abominable snowman or skinwalkers. And in my research, I ran across the Wendigo, and I was like, this creature fits the story I want to tell with this.
It makes sense. Oh, I like how you're taking a real life experience and then just creating a story around it.
Yes. I mean, I've learned, I'm sure you yourself know, you never know where inspiration is going to come from. You never know. Like I stated before, we were just, like I said, just don't go on vacation and just wanted to, hike the trails, up Mount Rainier, and just kind of bear, happening. And that got my, just like I said, got me inspired. And from there, I just kind of, okay, just kind of took it and ran with it.
Right.
So I've learned that you never know where inspiration is going to come from. So when it does hit you, take it and run with it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So you have some other books. Can you kind of run through the? I don't know if you have your other books in front of you, but do you want to maybe show us some of the titles or share
Well,
the titles of your other
well,
books?
I'll just go ahead and show the each. Well, I do have one other book I haven't mentioned yet, but I'll just
Okay.
go ahead and show the first book in the. Like I said, called Scott Family. It's a trilogy, so I wanted to actually speak on. This is Scott Family trilogy. This is called The Last Time. This is the book that starts the trilogy. It's
Okay.
basically a teenage love triangle. The main character is 16-year-old. His name is Jordan Sparks, and he meets a girl. Oh no, his name is Jordan Sky. Excuse me. He meets a girl at a party named Rain, and they kind of connect, have a good connection with each other. But
Mm-hmm.
Rain has a jealous ex boyfriend that won't let her go. So his name is Dewan. So Dewan and Jordan have words, and Jordan ends up getting incarcerated in a juvenile boot camp. And it just tells the story about the the trauma that not Jordan is not a bad kid. He just kind of confused and lost and selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, I mean, if you ever dealt with teenagers, sometimes teenagers just don't, think about
Yeah.
nobody but themselves. They think it's about them. And Jordan's that type of person. But while he's incarcerated, he kind of learns lessons about, it's bigger than me. I need outside help. I can't do this by myself. And between the staff at the boot camp and his family, his mom has his back, his brother has his back. Between his family, they have his back. He realizes it's bigger than me. I can't do this by myself. And it's not just about me. Because I mean, I'm sure I'm sure we all need help. Everybody, you can't do it by yourself. All these books I've wrote so far, I wrote them, but there are people in the background that's helped me, assisted me between the editing, writing the covers, ideals. I bounce off my wife and friends, so I know, it's not about me. The second book in the series is actually called "You Never Said Goodbye."
Mm.
It carries on the story about what happened with Jordan. I mean, and this story picks up where his little brother kind of gets involved into Jordan's situation. His little brother's name is KJ, and he kind of gets involved in the situation with Jordan. And it just talks about family having, the back through thick and thin. I mean, one of the subtitle was not the subtitle. It's a good motto that was placed on the book. I didn't come up with it, but it says there's strength in forgiveness, and I do believe in that. There's strength in
Absolutely.
forgiveness. And so that's a good quote that I try to, use in my own particular life. That there's strength and forgiveness. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away about how the story plays out, but that quote is definitely, prevalent in the story.
Right. My
And
boyfriend often says that not forgiving somebody is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
right, that's a good, yeah, that's definitely a good metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard it, but I definitely relate to it. And it makes sense. In the last story in the book, it's called Closure, where I'm just trying to wrap it up about the experiences that Jordan, KJ, and his mom, and even Dewan, experienced throughout the story. And so, like I said, I try to trilogy. Now I've had a lot of positive response about that story, and people are asking me to come up with a fourth book in the series, which I'm I think I will. I just need time to marinate and come up with a fresh idea. I do not. I don't want to rehash anything I've said in the previous three books.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You have to think about your characters. Where do you want them to
Yes,
go?
yes, yes,
Do they still have any growth left? Do they still have a piece of their story they need to tell?
yes.
Yeah.
All that. So you know exactly where I'm coming from. That's why I'm like I say I'm real cautious about wanting to do a fourth book because I do believe for the most part it's wrapped up. But like I said, I've had people approach me asking me, to do a fourth book. So I'm not promising nothing. I'm in a wait and see mode. But and I have another book. I don't even have it out here with me. It's called Righteous Gangster: Rise of the Black Angel. That's a superhero story I was trying to tell. I was trying to tell a story of a reformed gangbanger that has a spiritual awakening, and he's challenged and tested uh, through he has a spiritual metamorphosis. He has an out of body experience, and while he's having this out of body experience, he's challenged and tested. And I guess in another world, and then he's given a chance to granted superpowers. I guess I should have brought that book with me, but I just
It's okay. That's okay. It sounds interesting. I like the fact that it sounds like your characters have a lot of layers. Do you put a lot of work into how you create your characters and what you reveal about them?
Oh sure. Oh sure. I mean, like you mentioned there, I want them to have depth. I want them to have personality. I want you to, you to be able to relate. I want people to be able to relate to them. It's one form or another. If you can't relate to this character, maybe you can relate to this character. I mean, I want hopefully, some character in the story that, a person can relate to. But
Right.
I've learned that not every book is for everybody. And so like I said, just as much as you get some positive feedback about the books, I've gotten a few, negative, where they didn't relate to this book or they didn't relate to the character. So, but I'm fine with that.
Now, when you get, I don't like to call them a bad review. I mean, this is what the reader thought. I mean, first of all, your book Wendigo's Prey has five-star reviews, so it's really hit the mark with the readers. But if you get a book that may be less than favorable, how do you handle that? Do you disregard it? Do you take some truth from it? Do you try to learn from it? How do you handle that?
I definitely try to learn from it. I mean, I want to learn from a lot of this comes on, I guess, in how the review is, written or, expressed to me. Because I mean, I do believe that you can learn something even from the negative if it's, put out to you, I guess, not politically, professionally, without, but I also believe that it's, some people can dogpile on and just be negative for the sake of being
Yeah,
negative. If you,
yeah,
do it in a constructive criticism way, I have no problem. I've learned that when you put, work out there for the public to see, read, hear, or whatever it may be, that you got to expect that there's probably going to be some people that's not going to like it.
mm-hmm.
So I don't, I don't take it to heart when someone, has a negative review. I mean, I do listen to it because it's not like I know my work is infallible. I understand the fact that,
Right.
I mean, not everything's for everybody. And so, but it's like I said, a lot just comes on how you're doing. If you just kind of just hammering away just to, be negative for the sake of being negative without trying to, put a positive spin, then it's like, okay, I'm a disregard it because you just, I hate to use the word, but I'm gonna say then, well, you just hating. You're not really, you just hate. But no,
Sometimes people do write negative reviews just to hate on an author. So I always try to read the. I don't have a lot of bad reviews on my books, but if one happens to pop up, I try to see the truth in the negativity.
amen. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sound like we have the kind of the same philosophy that you try to see the truth in negativity, and hopefully, whatever they say may help you improve you for your next book.
There you
And
go.
yeah, and I've learned that take the negativity and try to encompass it, and make improvements. Because I will admit, I started writing in 2020 during COVID, and my very first book, even though it's the second in series, You Never Said Goodbye, I've made some improvements from this book until The Wendigo's Prey. And just as far as my storytelling and just grammatically speaking, I know I made some improvements. From the
And
very first.
that's the key to always improve. I mean, every book should be just a little bit better than the last book.
Amen, amen. And I'm definitely I'm trying to do that. And so I say I had no problem. I mean, I try to take the negative and just and just you see what it's about and just work from there.
Mhm. Well, Mark Bosador says that you are a very creative writer, and he said he has to get the Wendigo's Prey and the Righteous Gangster.
Well, yeah, me and Mark, we met at the we was down in Houston also. I actually met him in New Orleans last year. The New Orleans
Black
Book
Ink
Festival.
Festival.
Yes, we met down there originally. Then we kind of met once again back in Houston. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate the shout out there. I have to get your latest work myself. I see you got something new going on, so I appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah, Marcus actually, I believe he's going to be on the show next week when we interview the authors of the Unspoken anthology.
Okay.
It's going to be released soon, so I'm looking forward to. That's going to be a great panel discussion. So, like I said, I believe you were actually one of the first authors to accept the invitation to be featured during the month of June. When I said I wanted to feature all male authors for Men's Health Month, often men's health, especially men's mental health, is not always made a priority for some people. And we're just really in recent years just talking about men's mental health and knowing that your feelings matter. I think
Right.
sometimes we think that men are always supposed to be strong and they're always supposed to be unbothered. But because of people like you who are sharing your stories, I think it's getting out more. And the fact that you started writing during COVID, I don't know what your motivation was on that, but you were able to take that very negative time in our history and then turn it into a positive and channel your creativity.
right? The thing about the COVID situation was the fact that well, COVID slowed the world down enough for me actually to have the time to finally finish the book. And I had actually started writing, and you never said goodbye, probably around 2016 or 2017. But work, kids, just life in general, kind of got in the way of me, always. But once, like I said, shut down, I was able to sit down and focus and got out. You never said goodbye, and
Right.
from there, it just kind of took off.
And there you go. So are you writing full time or you still work full time as well?
Well, I still work full time, so I kind of have to squeeze writing in between, the job work hours. But hopefully, in the next, I don't know, 5, 6 years, I may be able to actually sit down and be able to write full time. I do know I have more stories to tell.
So it sounds like you're in this literary industry to stay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm talking about. So is it all that you dreamed of? I mean, the reason why I ask is because sometimes when we turn what we love into what we have to do, it doesn't always feel, it starts to feel more like work than fun. But if we're doing something, they say when we're doing something we love, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like fun. But in this case, now that you're in the industry, you've written a few books, you've gotten a few books under your belt. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm good. My thing is, well, let me say first of all, I write because I enjoy it. I am not writing for chasing a dollar bill. Now, obviously, I want to make money. I'm not sitting here and saying that I don't want to make money, but it's not my main motivation to write. And like I said, I've had a few negative outputs, but I also had some. I think the positive definitely outweigh the negative because I do believe I'm writing good stories, and I've gotten a lot of
Yes.
positive feedback, from the story. So the positive outweighing the negative, and as long as I have the ability, to put pen to paper or type on a keyboard, I'm gonna continue trying to write. And so, um, yeah, I've had I mean, I'm still good with it. I haven't got burnt out. I mean, maybe because I'm only doing maybe one book a year, but I haven't got burnt out and it hasn't become a chore yet. It is. I don't know how I feel when you write, but it's my way to escape. Some people play the music. Some people maybe cook. Writing is my way to escape the world. When you get into that book, and so that's
Oh, I'm with you on
my
it.
way.
I love writing, and writing is a great escape.
Amen.
So and I like the fact that you're not rushing yourself. I think a book a year is a pretty good pace. And I was actually talking about this in the interview that I had prior to starting the show, is that you don't have to rush through the process just to hurry up and get a book out there.
Right.
Enjoy the process, have fun with it, and don't compare yourself to somebody else's pace. Somebody might just be a fast writer, or maybe they're rushing through it. But either way, don't compare yourself to that other person. Go at the pace that works for you.
Oh, amen. Like I said, my thing is, I'm not. I know I'm not the biggest writer out there as far as name whatsoever, but I'm not. I'm not worried about that for the most part. I'm just writing, like you mentioned before. I'm writing at my own pace, and I'm writing stories that I want to tell.
Amen. Amen. Well, we did put the link to the Wendigo's Prey in the chat. And if we can get it back on the screen, um, everybody, please go out and get this book. I'm gonna grab it myself. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but just the storyline sounds intriguing. Everything doesn't have to be a romantic story or a romantic comedy or anything like that. Sometimes it could just be a suspenseful novel, and those are actually the books that I don't mind reading. And I don't know. I think I've. This is no slam against romance authors, but I don't want to just read romance anymore. I like to read mystery. I like to read suspense. I like to read something that's a bit more storyline driven instead of character driven. So I'm looking forward to reading this one.
Okay. Well, hopefully, you will enjoy it. I will say it's probably one of the shortest stories I wrote because all action happens in one day. It just
Oh,
starts. It starts in the morning, and everything takes place in one singular day. So, I just kind of just bare bones, just jump right into the story there. I just wanted to get to the action there. But I know I'm very proud of the story.
well, keep doing what you're doing. When do you think the next book will be out?
That's a good question because, like I said, I just started.
Yeah, I
I,
mean, I'm not rushing you. I'm just
yeah,
asking. I mean,
I'll,
are we looking at next year, maybe?
maybe late this year. A lot just depends on my work situation. But like I said, I just started. I have it maybe a week at the most. I got into it, and I'm still developing certain aspects of the story. But I do know I want to tell a story. Just want to make sure I want to be proud of every story. I don't want to put something out there just to put it out there. I'll never will do that. Every book I've put out so far, I believe in 100%, and I want to keep that track record up. That I'm not, do that. So I'm thinking either late this year or early next year.
Okay. Well, we have a little bit more time because our next guest seems to be a little late. So we're while we're trying to figure out what's going on with the next guest, we can continue to talk.
Sure. I mean, I got the time for the most part there. I would have brought the righteous gangster so I can show that cover there because I like I said, even though it's kind of a different story, I still wish I mean I believe in 100%. There's not a book I put out yet that I'm not 100% with, and I'm
Mhm.
actually doing a book. Well, it's not a book performance. I'm actually doing a event later this week, Saturday. It's actually a high school. It's a fun day. It's kind of a
Well, this is nice.
pop up event. I'm just doing me and my wife. My wife makes wreaths, homemade wreaths. You probably can see a few of them in the background that's on the wall there. So me and her doing a event at a high school, at a high school out in Dallas.
Yeah, I
So,
saw those wreaths, and I wasn't gonna try to be all up in your house to ask you what they were.
well, it's all good. If you got a few extra minutes, I don't have a problem. Yeah, my wife makes wreaths on the side. Like I said, I write books, and she makes these homemade wreaths. To kind of
Okay.
that's her way to get away. When she's away from work and want to
Well,
take her
I,
mind
I
off.
love how both of you have channeled your creativity. Um, just keep doing it. Maybe there's some kind of way y'all can combine what you do.
We should, what I'll try. I try to think of a way we can combine. Maybe if somebody buy a book, we might could throw a wreath in, or if someone buy a wreath, I could throw a book in, type of combo deal. But she's
You
not too
better
keen.
you better work that power couple magic.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, well, our next guest has arrived now.
Okay.
So I want to thank you once again for being on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I will be getting the Wendigo's Prey this week.
All right. Thank you for having me there, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and hopefully our paths will cross once again for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Are you going to be in Houston this year?
I'm not gonna be able to make it to Houston this year. I'm
Oh,
actually
we're going to find each other some kind
but
of way.
yeah, we will. I'm gonna be out there.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you.
God bless you, and thank you for having me once again. You have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Tell Margaret said thank you, Margaret. Appreciate the love.
All right.
All
He
right.
heard you.
Amen.
Okay, y'all, that was author Erick Williamson. Without any further ado, I'm going to bring on our next guest, Mr. Jamal Byas. Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for joining me tonight.
No, thank you for having me.
So now let's just jump right in there. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Jamal Byas. I am on the autism spectrum. I live in New York, and also I'm a writer.
Okay. Now, when did you decide that you wanted to start writing?
Very young age.
Really? And
I
did you?
always
Mhm.
wrote like myself into stories that I've read and everything else. So once when I did that, I started to fantasize about writing my own story. So when I entered my freshman year of high school, that's once when I wrote my first book. And it was the first draft, my first original story.
Wow. So, what's the story about?
Well, the story was about a young man who goes to school, and the school is separated by the general education kids and the special education kids. But the special education kids, they rule the school. So it was like, oh, the special education kids, they make the rules. They're the popular people and everything else.
That's an interesting twist.
But then what everybody doesn't know is that the main character is in love with the girl who has a disability, who is also the leader of the school.
Mm.
You know,
So
the leader is the queen bee.
So you wrote this book in the 8th grade?
Ninth.
In the 9th grade. Did you ever
And
publish
it
it?
took me years to get it finalized. You know, with
Okay.
every single thought and everything else.
And so is this the book that you have published now?
Yes, it's the first out of 3, because that's the first book, and then there's the second book, and then there's a third book for the trilogy.
Okay,
and there was a lot of people.
And the trilogy is called the Chase Paradise Trilogy?
Yes.
Okay. And I just put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to take a look at them. What's the age range, do you believe, for your books? Are they young children's books? Or are they more like preteen books?
I mean, it's for mature readers, but you know, it's due to the fact that well, I started it off as a teen book, but I gained a lot more when I hit the mature rating. And trust me, sometimes when I think about it, I really, really thought, you know, who was going to read it and everything else. But a lot of people, they ended up liking it. And some people even wanted it to be made into a movie.
Wow.
But the only thing would be that I would lose creative control. I still do want to make it into a movie, but I want to work on the project at the same time, because, you know, some people are saying, oh, Jamal, you got to write it, you got to direct it, and then you also got to be the main character. Now, I can write it and direct it, and maybe play a small role, but me and the character, that's where
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jamal, but I think we're having a little bit of feedback, and I'm not exactly sure why. Let's see. Can you start talking again?
Check.
It only happens when you talk. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. So you said that you are that you don't mind making it into a movie, but you're not ready to do that just yet?
Right. I just need to find the right people.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, is that as a person who's on the autism spectrum, is your writing process a little bit different than say other authors?
I mean, I go through the same process that everybody goes through.
Okay.
As much as, you know, red block or brainstorming.
I'm sorry, Jamal. We're still having this feedback. Do you think maybe you can log off and then log back on and just see if that fixes it?
Okay.
Okay, we'll still be right here. Okay. So for those who missed it, we are talking with Jamal Byas. He is an author who is on the autism spectrum, and he actually wrote a trilogy of 3 different books, and I put the link in the chat for those of you who would like to take a look at the link, or excuse me, at the trilogy. So if we can get that on the screen for anybody who might be looking for it, that should pop up in a second. We did a shortened link, so it's a bit.ly link instead of the full link. But if you are to actually click on the full link and bring it up, it's a pretty long link, so I didn't want to take up the entire screen with that. But so like I said, he wrote this trilogy, and he actually started the first book when he was in the 9th grade, and he had kind of moved up. And even though it sounds like it might be a young person's trilogy, it's actually a trilogy for more mature reading. So, and then I just took a peek at the covers, and it's absolutely not a children's book. So there's somebody, EW on YouTube said that they are also working on a book about an autistic kid. And I'm really glad that there are more stories that are coming out where we're kind of talking a bit more about people who are living on the spectrum, because a lot of us are really just starting to learn what that's all about. And then, most of us, our frame of reference is maybe something that we've seen on a movie. So it's good to see people writing about it. The book by Kennedy Ryan actually has an autistic character in her book. I think it's This Could Be Us. I believe that's which one it was, where she talks a bit about a character who is living on the spectrum. And it was insightful. The character wasn't the main character, but she talked about the character enough for us to get an understanding. Okay, now Jamal is back, so hopefully we fixed that problem. Jamal, are you there? Uh-oh, are you muted? Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on now, but now he's talking, but I can't hear him. It's always something when you do live shows, but we're not going to let the devil get ahead of us. And EW said, much respect to Jamal for not letting being on the spectrum stop him from pursuing his dreams. And I absolutely agree with that. Jamal, can you hear me now? Okay. I am not sure what's going on with Jamal, but I think, Jamal, go ahead and stay muted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call you. Stay on the screen. Don't hang up, but I'm going to call you, and we're going to finish the interview over the phone. I've had to do this before, but that's okay. This is how we overcome things like this. So just stay right there. And I'm calling you on your phone. Hello? Okay, there we go. All right. So go ahead and mute your computer. It's already muted. Okay, and turn the volume all the way down so you can't hear me on the computer. Perfect. Okay, now for the audience, let me know if you can hear Jamal when he speaks. So wait, keep your computer turned all the way down. Don't turn it back up. Let me see. No? All right, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is weird. Yeah. See, I can hear myself on your computer. You might have to turn off the microphone. Mute your computer.
I did.
Okay. Okay, so.
But I don't know what's going on your end.
Okay, we can hear you. And EW says that they can hear you as well, but there's a slight delay. Okay, so what I wanted you to do is finish telling me about the trilogy.
Special story that I have written for the disability community.
Okay.
And trust me, writing the first book took years of a lot of hard work and a lot of ideas and edits and everything.
Oh, I'm quite sure. And then I was asking you, I think before we got cut off, I was asking you about your writing process. And I was saying, as a person who is writing your books and you're living on the spectrum, did you find that your writing process was a little different? And you said it wasn't any different than anybody else's.
Nope, not different. I can still have the same thing as everybody else. Either brain ideas or writer's block, anything.
Did you find that because for me, sometimes I need to be in complete quiet. I need to be away from everybody so I can concentrate. Did that was that the case for you as well?
Sometimes it could be, but other times I get ideas from it.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. So tell me the titles of the trilogy, of each book in the trilogy.
So you have Chase of Paradise, that's the first book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Sincerely Yours, which is the Chase of Paradise book 2, told by October's lovers. October is the main character, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the third book, which is the Chase of Paradise full story. So basically, it would mean that it's telling the full story from prequel to the end with, some details that I might have missed within the first book.
So I think it's very interesting that I peeked at the covers of your books, and these are definitely more mature reads. But you said you started writing these books when you were still young.
No, it started off as teenage, but mature material came in later on.
Gotcha. So the books aged, like your characters basically grew up.
Yes.
That's interesting. So do you feel like they grew while you were growing?
Yes, it made major improvement towards my life and everything else. Even though the main character was kind of related to me.
Like you said, the main character was kind of related to you, as in you kind of based the character on yourself?
True, yes.
So in doing that, did you learn things about yourself as you were creating that character?
I learned a little bit about myself, and I learned a little bit about what everything else came to.
Oh. So what was that process like?
That process was easy once when it came to writing about my character, but originally it started to where, I was the main character and everything else, but I did not, even if I did want to make it into a film, I did not want my name to be as the main character. But then I changed it to October, which could still be similar to me.
So I think sometimes as new authors, we take a bit of ourselves and put them into a character. I used to like to say, and I still do sometimes, that I like to do the what if. So I'll ask myself, what if I would have reacted this way instead of that way? And then I wind up creating a story around that what if factor. Um, is Have you done something like that with this character, since this character is kind of based on you?
What if factors? I mean, there were a lot of what ifs factors within, writing it, pre-draft and draft and everything to the final version. There was a lot. Oh, I saw a comment.
Yes.
Asking, am I working on something?
Yes. Yeah, they want to know if you were working on anything at the moment. I know you finished the trilogy.
Oh, I'm still working on a lot. I mean, you have the Chase of Paradise trilogy. I even wrote another saga after the fact. And now I'm working on another saga as well.
What? So how many projects are you working on at once?
No, I finished my trilogy.
Okay.
Then I wrote a saga, which took me a couple of months, and then I am starting another saga right now.
Oh, so you're staying pretty busy.
Yes.
So when do you expect your next work to be published?
Well, my second saga is published already.
Okay.
And it's called Who Wants to Date a Celebrity saga.
I like it.
Yeah, this time within the second saga, I decided to introduce myself as a character.
Wait, now how is that different from the character in your trilogy? Because that character is based on you as well.
Well, there's a hidden surprise within the book.
Okay.
Because October may have some of my traits, but you can't be the original, which is me.
I like it. Yes. Okay, I was just going to say, don't give away the surprise now. Let us read the book.
No, I'm not giving away the surprise.
So how many books do you have total?
Let's see. The Chase of Paradise books are 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have my Who Wants to Date a Celebrity. That's 5. So right now I have 8, and I'm working on getting them into audiobooks too.
Oh wow. Okay, so now that process is a little different because I'm working on my books becoming audiobooks as well. And sometimes it's very hard because the person who's telling your story has to make the story interesting. I have heard some terrible narrators who just made a really good story sound bad, and then I've heard some who've just made stories really exciting because they really got into the story themselves and they got into the character. So are you taking an active role in choosing who is going to tell your story or who is going to narrate your story?
Yes, I'm taking extra precautions between who's going to narrate the story and everything. I mean, if they had any questions, they knew that they could easily contact me or anything.
Absolutely. So, and that's good that you're going to stay in touch with them. Are you going through ACX or are you going through a different platform?
ACX.
Ah, yeah, there are a lot of narrators on ACX. But I think I found somebody who I think I want to tell narrated, and I don't know if she's on ACX. I just know her because she was a radio DJ, and so she already had that really nice voice. So I think I'm gonna talk to her about doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can kind of pick and choose now. Have you heard anybody audition for your work yet?
Well, the first book of Chase of Paradise is actually already done for the audiobook.
Perfect.
And I am working on the second book as we speak.
Oh yeah, you have been busy. So you're not just writing, but you're also working on the audiobooks. Then you're when did you publish the saga?
I should say at the beginning of this year.
Yep. See, I knew it. I knew it was this year.
And trust me, I had an author event in February, and I had a few of my family and some family friends that came by, and they really loved the idea of what I was doing and everything else. And what I want to bring to the reading universe is a side of people with disabilities, also have a story to tell too.
Absolutely.
You don't see much of that now. You just see most of the main characters that are, have issues or this or that, but you don't see much on the disability community.
Right. And I was actually talking about that a little earlier when I was waiting for you to log back in, that we're just starting to learn more about people on the spectrum. People are starting to tell those stories a lot more. And then I mentioned Kennedy Ryan's book. I believe it was called This Could Be Us. And it's actually a romance book. But there are two characters in the book who have autism. And so she talks a lot about the process of getting to know these two characters in the story. And so I think the more we normalize people, every character doesn't have to be perfect. Every character doesn't have to be healthy or what have you. We can talk about people with disabilities. And like you said, people with disabilities have a story to tell too. So why not make more characters that not only teach us about autism or about other disabilities, but at the same time normalize those characters because they have feelings as well. They have stories to tell as well.
That is true.
So does all of your stories are going to have a character with some type of disability in them?
I'm trying to aim for majority of them, that have different disabilities. So if I don't know about one, I'm going to take some time and go into detail and learn about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jamal, I really, really enjoyed our conversation, and I really enjoyed just listening to your process and the thought that you put behind each one of your stories, as well as the characters in your story. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for sharing your stories with the world.
No problem.
So what's next for you?
Well, I am planning a special thing for people with disabilities, like based on my book, for my city.
Okay.
And, it's still going to have the same topics and everything else. So hopefully people can come to that.
And that's going to be in New York?
Yes.
And when is it?
I'm trying to aim for February 15th, 2025.
Wonderful. Okay. Are you going to be at the Harlem Book Fair?
Harlem Book Fair?
Yes.
When will that be?
Oh, I have to send you the information for that. It's going to be in September.
I might check it out.
Yes, come on. I'm going to be up there too. So I'll finally get to see you in person. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep you much longer. We have unfortunately come to the end of the interview, but like I said, I really enjoyed talking with you, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, you enjoy your evening.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all, that was author Jamal Byas. He is an author who's on the spectrum, and he has written 8 books, and all of his books feature a majority of characters who are living with some type of disability, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you once again for telling your stories, and I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. Please make sure you check back in next week when we interview the authors of, in fact, let me just go ahead and put this back up again because we have a lot going on this month. Remember, all throughout the month of June, we're going to be featuring different male authors. Tonight, we talked with Erick Williams and Jamal Byas. Next week will be a panel discussion with the authors of the new anthology, Unspoken, which is on men's mental health. On June 17th, we'll be talking with Shakir Rasan and Victor McLaughlin. And then on June 24th, rounding out the month, we will have Jonathan Harris and Trent D. Walters. So this is going to be an exciting month, talking to all male authors in celebration of June Men's Health Month. And I really want you guys to be a part of it. But I also want to make sure that you guys are here next week because I will be announcing the winner of the Meet the World Image Solutions Graduating Senior Scholarship Contest. So I really want you guys to be there and to just celebrate with us. I'm going to try to get the contestants on so that way I can congratulate the winner in person. This is going to be a great week. So just make sure you're here next Sunday, June 9th, and help me to congratulate not only the authors of Unspoken, but also the winner of the Graduating Senior Essay Contest. Somebody's about to get $1,000, y'all. I'm so excited. All right, so, but that's all we have for tonight, guys. Thank you once again for supporting the show, helping it to grow and to reach more people. And I want to make sure that you join me tomorrow night on the National Black the National Black Book Festival Facebook page, where we'll be interviewing 4 new authors on Black Authors Matter TV. So that's all I have for tonight. I'm your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson. This is the Horizons Author Lounge. I want you to have a wonderful evening and keep supporting these amazing, amazing authors. See you later. Bye-bye.